What if the reason your legs feel weaker each year has nothing to do with aging? What if the real culprit is something you've never tested, never questioned, yet it's been silently draining your strength for years? One missing link, one overlooked deficiency, one mistake that could be stealing your independence. I'm Dr. Carson, a senior health specialist with 30 years of experience, and today I'm revealing what most doctors never tell you about leg weakness and how you can start turning it around right now. I'll never forget the look on her face. Margaret was 73, fiercely independent, always the one helping others at the community center, always quick with a smile. She was the kind of woman who still prided herself on walking to the shops every Saturday, rain or shine. Until one morning, just like any other, she stood up from bed, and her legs gave out beneath her. She didn't fall. Not that time. But the fear in her eyes told me everything. Her body had betrayed her. And the worst part? There had been signs for months. Cramping calves at night. A strange wobble when stepping off the pavement. A growing reliance on banisters, furniture, anything within reach. You see, what happened to Margaret wasn't sudden. It was silent, gradual, predictable. And it could happen to you, or someone you love, without any warning, until it's too late. As a doctor, I've seen hundreds of cases like Margaret's. In clinics, hospitals, even at family dinners when someone quietly admits they're not steady anymore. Their legs feel tired, slow, unresponsive, like walking through water, even when they've done nothing strenuous. Here's what no one is telling you. It's not just aging. We've been sold a lie, subtle but dangerous, that losing strength and stability after 60 is inevitable. That aching legs, poor balance, and muscle loss are all part of the natural process. That it's normal to feel weaker every year, it's not. What's really happening is biochemical. At a cellular level, your body is being starved of the very nutrients that once made your legs powerful, responsive, and pain-free. And the truth is, most people have no idea they're deficient until it begins to take their freedom. That's right. This isn't about vanity. This is about independence. Because once your legs start to go, so does everything else. No one talks about the emotional toll of weak legs, the fear of walking outside alone, the hesitation to join family outings, the anxiety of going upstairs. Slowly, confidence erodes. Isolation sets in. And what begins in the body ends in the mind. Now here's where it gets personal. Most of the people I speak to don't even realize they've been missing the same 7 nutrients for years. These are not exotic superfoods. These are vitamins and minerals you can find in the right breakfast, in a 10-minute walk in the sun, in a well-balanced plate. But we've lost touch with them. Our modern diets, sedentary habits, and overdependence on pills have starved our muscles and dulled our reflexes. But here's the good news. There's a way back. I've seen patients in their late 70s, some even in their 80s, regain control of their legs, walk more confidently, even return to dancing or light jogging. Not because they hit the gym, not because they started some magic treatment, but because they restored what their bodies were quietly screaming for: essential nutrients that power balance, strength, coordination, and mobility. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the 7 most critical vitamins and minerals that your legs cannot function without. We'll talk about how they work, how they quietly disappear with age, and how you can get them back, naturally, safely, and consistently. And I'm not just sharing information. I'm giving you a roadmap. Because this isn't just about avoiding falls or walking a little better. This is about preserving the life you want to live. The freedom to step out of your front door without fear, to travel, to play with your grandchildren, to live on your own terms, for as long as possible. But first, I want you to sit with this thought. What if everything you've blamed on age was actually something you could fix? What if the creeping weakness, the instability, the chronic leg pain wasn't destiny, but deficiency? That's what we're going to uncover today. And if that question stirred something in you, if even a part of you is thinking, "That sounds like me," then I want you to watch this video all the way to the end. I promise you, the final part of this journey could be the most important health decision you make this year. But before we dive in, I need your help. If you value this kind of deep, practical health advice, without hype, gimmicks, or fear, then please subscribe to this channel. It helps us grow, reach more people, and create more high-quality videos like this for you and the people you care about. Your support keeps this mission alive. Now, to get you thinking, and hopefully engaging, I want to leave you with a simple but powerful question. Which statement feels more true to you? A. My legs are slowing down because I'm getting older. B. My legs are slowing down because my body might be missing something vital. Drop your answer, A or B, in the comments below. I read every single one, and I'll respond personally to as many as I can. Let's get into it. When I first began to truly understand what was happening in my patients' bodies, the quiet, invisible war unfolding inside their legs, I realized we were missing the point entirely. So much of what I'd been taught focused on muscles, exercise, even medication. But as I sat with patients who could barely lift themselves from a chair, who felt ashamed of needing help for the first time in their lives, I knew there had to be something deeper. Something we weren't addressing. That something was nutrition. You see, strength doesn't begin in the gym. It doesn't begin with movement. It begins with fuel, with the specific chemical building blocks that your muscles, bones, and nerves are literally made of. And for many older adults, especially those over 60, those essential nutrients are being drained silently. Day after day, meal after meal. Our bodies, once vibrant with reserves of vitamins and minerals, begin to run low, too low to power balance, coordination, and force. And yet, because this process is so gradual, we dismiss it. We call it just age. But when you restore what's been lost, the transformation is remarkable. That's what I want to give you now. The truth about 7 key nutrients, 7 silent protectors. Each one of them plays a specific, critical role in keeping your legs strong and stable. Miss even one, and the whole system falters. But restore them, and you'll feel it. In your steps, in your posture, even in your confidence. Let's begin where the chain starts. Vitamin D. Most people think of it as a bone vitamin, but in reality, it's far more than that. Vitamin D governs how your muscles respond, how quickly they contract, how well they stabilize you. It regulates fast-twitch muscle fibers, the ones that help you catch yourself when you slip, the ones that fire when you step off a curb or turn quickly. Without enough vitamin D, those fibers atrophy. Reactions slow. Legs feel heavy and sluggish. You begin to hesitate, and with hesitation comes danger, especially in those split-second moments where balance determines whether you stay upright or hit the floor. What alarms me most is that vitamin D deficiency is rampant among the elderly. Why? Because we don't get outside as often. Because our skin no longer converts sunlight efficiently. Because we slather on sunscreen or sit behind glass. The result? A quiet erosion of strength, masked as old age. Indeed, but when my patients begin supplementing safely with morning sunlight, with foods like salmon and fortified dairy, or with daily D3 drops, they often report improved energy, fewer falls, even better sleep. Then there's calcium. Everyone talks about it for bones, and rightly so. But what many forget is that calcium is also a muscle mineral. Every time your muscle contracts, calcium is involved. It's the spark. Without enough of it, muscles don't respond well. Cramps become frequent. Steps feel effortful. The body begins to resist movement. And the bones? Without calcium, they're brittle. I've seen too many seniors suffer fractures that began with a simple misstep, because the structural framework beneath them was crumbling. What concerns me is that many think they're getting enough calcium simply because they drink milk. But often, it's not absorbed well, especially without the presence of vitamin D or magnesium. And in some cases, people are actually over-supplementing, taking calcium blindly without checking whether their body needs it. That's why I always encourage a food-first approach: leafy greens, sardines, almonds, fortified plant milks. Then, if needed, carefully chosen supplements that respect the balance of the body. Which leads us to one of the most overlooked vitamins for leg strength: B12. This is where the story takes a turn, because B12 doesn't work directly on muscle tissue. Instead, it affects the wiring, your nerves. Imagine your legs are a sophisticated machine. The muscles are the motors. The bones are the structure. But the nerves? They're the electrical system. And if the wiring shorts out, if signals can't pass through cleanly, your legs won't respond. You'll feel numb, weak, disconnected from your own body. And B12 deficiency is incredibly common in people over 60. Not because they don't eat enough of it, but because their stomachs no longer absorb it well. The body needs a special protein, intrinsic factor, to unlock B12 from food. And with age, we often lose that key. Add medications like antacids or metformin, and absorption drops even further. That's why I frequently recommend testing B12 levels in anyone experiencing unexplained leg fatigue, tingling, or loss of control. When we reintroduce B12 through food, high-dose tablets, or even injections, the results can be dramatic. The light comes back on, the nerves start firing again, and walking begins to feel more natural. Now, let's talk about magnesium. This mineral is like the body's peacekeeper. It calms overactive nerves. It helps muscles relax after they've contracted. Without enough magnesium, people suffer from restless legs, cramps that wake them in the middle of the night, and a constant sense of tension. What's worse is that magnesium deficiency is rarely diagnosed, despite being extremely common. Stress depletes it. Processed food lacks it. And certain medications, like diuretics or blood pressure pills, flush it right out of your system. But when we restore magnesium through foods like pumpkin seeds, spinach, black beans, and avocado, things begin to shift. Sleep improves. Muscles relax. Legs stop twitching. The simple act of walking becomes less taxing. And that changes everything. Then there's potassium. This is the electrolyte that keeps the balance of fluids inside and outside your muscle cells. Without it, contractions become erratic. The leg trembles. The calf locks up. You might even feel dizzy or unsteady after standing. Potassium also plays a hidden role in preserving bone mass by neutralizing acids in the blood that otherwise leach minerals from the skeleton. That's right. Not only is potassium key for muscular control, it also protects your structural foundation. I advise my patients to embrace foods like bananas, oranges, sweet potatoes, and beans, not as snacks, but as essential medicine for their legs. Vitamin K, on the other hand, is what I call the director. It tells calcium where to go. Without it, calcium can settle in your arteries and joints, hardening them over time. But with adequate vitamin K, calcium is shuttled into the bones, where it belongs. It's also a powerful anti-inflammatory, especially for the knees and hips. Many people who feel stiffness when rising from a chair or going downstairs are actually battling mild joint inflammation that vitamin K can soothe. Leafy greens like kale and chard are brilliant sources. For those willing to explore fermented foods, natto is a nutritional powerhouse. And lastly, there's B6, often forgotten but critical. It supports red blood cell formation, ensuring your muscles receive oxygen. It helps regulate protein metabolism so your legs can build and repair themselves. And it supports nerve health, keeping every step coordinated. I've seen B6 supplementation make a difference in patients who were constantly exhausted by short walks or who struggled with soreness after minor exertion. The right intake, through fish, poultry, potatoes, or bananas, can be a quiet but potent game changer. So, that's the truth. 7 nutrients, each playing a vital role, each quietly missing from the lives of countless older adults. But not anymore. Because now you know. And knowledge is power. The kind of power that lives in your legs, fuels your independence, and gives you back the freedom to move without fear. Keep watching. We're only just getting started. I remember the moment clearly. It was a Wednesday morning clinic, and George, a retired architect in his late 60s, sat across from me. He wasn't there because of pain or illness. He was there because he felt disconnected, not from the world, but from his own body. "I used to climb scaffolding like it was nothing," he told me, laughing weakly. "Now I hesitate just to step into the shower. My legs, they don't trust me anymore." That stayed with me, because George wasn't sick. He hadn't suffered an injury. His tests weren't alarming. But something in him had shifted. The confidence in movement was gone. He was shrinking, not physically, but emotionally. His world was getting smaller by the week. And yet, what made all the difference for George wasn't a prescription or a medical intervention. It was a routine. A real, daily rhythm rooted in simple, consistent nourishment and intentional movement. That's what this part is all about. Once you understand what your body needs, once you know the nutrients that drive your legs and stabilize your steps, the next step is to build them into your life in a way that doesn't feel like a burden. Because this isn't about overhauling everything. It's about introducing new anchors. It's about waking up and knowing, without overthinking, that your first few choices of the day are serving your legs, not draining them. For many of my patients, the shift begins in the morning. And not with pills, but with sunlight. The body is deeply tuned to rhythm. And morning light, especially within the first hour of waking, doesn't just help you make vitamin D, it resets your biological clock, boosts your mood, and primes your muscles for movement. I often ask patients to simply step outside for 5 to 10 minutes each morning. No sunglasses, no windows, just skin and sun. It sounds small. It feels almost silly. But over time, that single act begins to build trust between you and your legs again. Then comes hydration. Overnight, your body becomes mildly dehydrated. And dehydrated muscles are sluggish, prone to cramping, less coordinated. A glass of warm water, possibly with a pinch of sea salt or a squeeze of lemon, helps replenish electrolytes and prepares your body to absorb nutrients efficiently from breakfast. Speaking of breakfast, this is where many people go wrong. They either skip it, rush it, or fill it with foods that provide a spike of sugar but no real fuel. For leg strength, I recommend breakfasts that combine protein, complex carbohydrates, and targeted nutrients. Think a spinach and mushroom omelet with whole grain toast. Or a fortified porridge with sliced banana, ground flaxseed, and a handful of walnuts. Even something as simple as a boiled egg and a bowl of berries can provide a powerful foundation for the day. Midday is when I encourage people to build strength through movement. You don't need to go to a gym. You don't need equipment. But you do need intention. Something as basic as walking laps around your home, doing gentle sit-to-stands from a chair, or balancing on one foot while brushing your teeth, all of it begins to signal to your body, I'm using these legs. Keep them strong. Nutrition-wise, lunch should not be an afterthought. It should include at least one leafy green and a source of lean protein. Why? Because this combination supports muscle repair, joint health, and provides the very minerals, like magnesium, potassium, and vitamin K, that tend to dwindle with age. It's also where routine supplementation can begin, if needed. I'm not an advocate for over-supplementing, but if tests show a deficiency in B12, vitamin D, or others, lunchtime is often the best time to take them. It allows absorption through the day, and you're less likely to forget than you would in the evening. By mid-afternoon, many older adults experience an energy dip. This is where movement can work as medicine. Not strenuous activity, but a walk around the block, gentle stretching, or even a short dance to your favorite music. Why? Because circulation isn't just about blood. It's about sending signals to your nervous system that you're still capable, still active, still engaged. Dinner, then, becomes your recovery meal. A time to replenish what you've used. A time to infuse your body with anti-inflammatory support through oily fish, colorful vegetables, sweet potatoes, or legumes. This is also a good time to include foods rich in magnesium, like black beans, quinoa, or a square of dark chocolate, as they promote restful sleep and support overnight muscle repair. Now, I want to pause and say something important. None of this is about perfection. You're not being graded. You're not training for a marathon. You're simply learning to work with your body again, to listen, to nourish, to respect the seasons it's moving through. And in that process, your legs will respond. Maybe not tomorrow, maybe not even this week. But soon, you'll notice something different. A little more bounce in your step, a little less hesitation, a little more power when standing up from the sofa. Over time, these small actions begin to rebuild your identity, not just physically, but emotionally. Because when your legs are strong, you feel safe. And when you feel safe, you begin to dream again. Of travel, of gardening, of dancing, of living. I always tell my patients, don't wait for a crisis to make a change. Build the routine before you think you need it. Because strength, like trust, is built quietly, through consistency. George did that. We created a plan, tailored to his needs, built into his daily habits. He didn't feel much different at first, but by the third week, he walked in without his cane. By the sixth week, he told me he'd started meeting an old friend at the park again. And by the third month, he said something I'll never forget. I'm not scared of my legs anymore. That's the kind of change I wish for you. So start where you are. Add what you can. Subtract what no longer serves you. And remember, every day, you're either feeding strength or feeding fear. Choose wisely, because your legs are listening. There's something about the silence after a fall that still haunts me. I've heard it too many times from my patients, the moment after their legs gave way, when the world didn't rush in to save them, but instead paused, leaving them on the floor, heart pounding, hope slipping quietly away. You don't forget that kind of moment. Sometimes the fall is physical, a hip fracture, a bruised spine, a broken femur. Other times, the fall is invisible, a loss of confidence, a sense of humiliation, the unbearable realization that the body you once trusted has turned unreliable, unpredictable, foreign. I remember Joan, 71 years old, independent, stubborn in the best way. She told me that what scared her most wasn't the pain from the fracture. It was the loss of control. It was like my legs made a decision without me, she said, her voice trembling. "They quit on me. I tell you this not to frighten you, but to be honest with you. Because this is where most people wait until it's too late, until the damage is done. They wait for the fall. They wait for the chairlift installation. They wait for someone else to suggest a cane. And in waiting, they surrender the very freedom they think they're preserving. But it doesn't have to be this way. You see, the decline in leg strength isn't sudden. It's incremental. It's subtle. It begins in the background. An occasional stumble. A need to sit down faster than before. A strange fatigue after walking to the corner shop. It creeps in. And if you're not paying attention, you'll miss it. What's heartbreaking is that the body sends warnings. Soft, clear signals that it's struggling. But we silence them. We brush them off. We say, "I'm just tired today," or "It's nothing, probably the weather." And those quiet signals become louder consequences. Until one day, a misstep turns into a hospital stay. That's the reality of not acting. And let me be clear, it's not just about bones or muscles. It's about identity. It's about the erosion of movement, and with it, the erosion of autonomy. Because when you can no longer move with confidence, your world begins to shrink. First, you stop going for walks alone. Then, you avoid stairs. You turn down invitations. You stay home. You watch others live instead. That is the most dangerous consequence of inaction. Not the fall, but the slow withdrawal from life. I've seen it happen to strong men who once played sports, to elegant women who once led dance classes, people who never imagined they'd hesitate at the threshold of their own front door, people who now measure their lives in footsteps, from the bedroom to the bathroom, from the bed to the armchair. That becomes the perimeter of their world. What's often overlooked is how leg weakness spills over into the emotional landscape. It breeds anxiety. It sparks self-doubt. It turns vibrant personalities inward. People stop trusting their instincts, their bodies, their decisions. They fear becoming a burden. They fear being seen as fragile. It doesn't end there. Weak legs are a gateway, a precursor to a chain reaction. When you stop moving, your circulation suffers, your joints stiffen, your digestion slows, your mood declines, sleep quality drops, even your brain fogs. It's a domino effect, and it always starts the same way. The legs no longer carry you as they once did. I've had patients tell me they avoid drinking water before bed because they fear walking to the bathroom at night. Others avoid social outings because the terrain might be uneven. One woman, a former librarian, admitted she gave up reading to her grandchildren because standing too long made her legs shake. These aren't just inconveniences. They are silent devastations, chipping away at the joy and spontaneity of life. And that's what frustrates me the most, because so much of this is preventable. If only we treated early signs of weakness with the same urgency we give to early signs of heart disease or cancer. If only we understood that every missed nutrient, every skipped walk, every extra sedentary hour contributes to a future where our world gets smaller and our spirit more hesitant. But here's the truth that rarely gets said. Inaction is a choice. Not choosing is choosing. And the cost of that choice is measured not just in strength, but in freedom. So I ask you, what are you waiting for? Are you waiting until the stairs feel impossible? Until the grandchild runs ahead and you can't follow? Until a friend has to help you to the toilet? Or will you act now, while your body still remembers, while your legs still respond, while your independence is still in your hands? That moment when Joan said, "They quit on me," something in her changed. But over the months, as we worked together, something came back. We rebuilt trust, not just in her legs, but in herself. And that's what this work is truly about. Rebuilding belief, reclaiming territory, moving forward, not just in distance, but in courage. You deserve that. You deserve to live in a body that supports your dreams, not limits them. You deserve to wake up and walk across the room without hesitation. You deserve to travel, to dance, to garden, to laugh without fear of falling. But that won't happen by accident. It happens by design. By deciding now that your mobility, your strength, your future is worth the effort. So no, this isn't a lecture. This is a call, a hand on your shoulder, a moment of clarity. Because I've seen both outcomes, the ones who waited and the ones who didn't. And I can tell you with absolute certainty, the sooner you act, the more there is to save. You've come this far. You've listened. You've started to understand the science and the structure. Now, you have a choice to make. You can either continue down the passive path of decline, or you can step onto the proactive path of protection. Not tomorrow, not next month, but today. Because the greatest cost of not acting isn't the weakness in your legs. It's the life you might have lived and didn't. There's a particular moment I cherish in every conversation with my older patients. It's not when they first walk into my office, cautious and guarded. It's not even when they open up about their fears of falling or their quiet frustration with a body that no longer responds the way it used to. No, the moment I hold closest is when something shifts in their eyes, when possibility begins to outweigh resignation. That's when I know they're ready. Not ready to run a marathon or reverse the clock, but ready to reclaim what matters most. Their freedom to move, to live, to stand tall without fear. If you've come this far with me, then perhaps that shift is already happening within you. Perhaps you're no longer content to let time erode the strength in your legs without a fight. Perhaps, for the first time in years, you believe that something can change, and I'm here to tell you, it absolutely can. But belief alone isn't enough. What matters now is action. Let's pause for a moment and be honest. How many mornings have you woken up and thought, I'll get to it tomorrow? How many evenings have you gone to bed knowing you didn't move enough, nourish enough, honor your body enough, but still pushed it to the side? I've been there too. Not just as a doctor, but as a man, a son, a father. I know how easy it is to delay the uncomfortable truths in favor of what's familiar. But at some point, we must choose comfort or transformation. And transformation begins now. The first step, believe it or not, is incredibly small. It could be as simple as opening your curtains first thing in the morning and letting the light touch your skin. Not to check the weather, not to glance at the garden, but to begin a ritual that reconnects you with the natural rhythm your body still remembers. Just 2 minutes of direct morning light on your arms or face. 2 minutes of permission for your body to start waking up its internal healing systems. Next, I want you to drink a glass of water. Not coffee, not tea. Water. Why? Because your muscles are electric. They rely on hydration to communicate, contract, and stabilize. And after a long night of sleep, they're thirsty. That small gesture is a way of telling your body, I'm paying attention, I'm here now. Then comes the first real decision. Movement. Not exercise, not punishment, just movement. Can you do 5 gentle sit-to-stands from your chair? Can you walk to the kitchen and back twice, with intention and awareness? Can you balance on one foot while brushing your teeth? These are not trivial tasks. They are acts of resistance against decline. And over time, they rebuild trust between you and your legs. Now look at your meals. Not from a place of guilt, but of opportunity. Is there color on your plate? Are there greens that whisper of vitamin K? Is there a slice of salmon or a handful of lentils lending you magnesium and protein? Even a simple banana, soft and sweet, can provide the potassium your legs need to feel steady. You don't have to overhaul your diet in one day, but you do need to make one better choice at every opportunity. And once you begin, once you feel that first flicker of energy, of clarity, of ease, you'll be hungry for more. Not just food, but progress. As the day winds down, your body is asking for closure. Not noise, not stimulation. It wants rest. It wants stillness. This is the perfect time to nourish your nervous system. Take 5 deep breaths before bed. Roll your ankles gently in circles. Lie on your back and stretch your toes as far away from your head as they'll go. Thank your legs for carrying you. Because they did. They held you up. They moved you forward. Even when they felt tired. Even when they were hurting. Even when you'd forgotten to take care of them. They stayed with you. Now, it's your turn. You don't need perfect discipline to change your life. You need only consistency. You need compassion for yourself, patience with your pace, and a willingness to begin again each day, even when yesterday didn't go as planned. And you don't have to do this alone. That's why I created this channel. Not to lecture, not to scare, but to walk beside you, to offer guidance, to remind you of what your body is still capable of. If today's video stirred something in you, if you felt seen, understood, or inspired, then I ask you for just one thing. Subscribe to this channel. Not for my sake, but for yours. Because each week, I'll be here with practical steps, science-backed truths, and a voice that believes in you. A voice that says, you are not done yet. And I want to hear from you. Tell me in the comments, what's the one habit you'll begin today? Is it walking more? Eating better? Finally getting that blood test? I read every comment. I reply when I can. And more than anything, I celebrate the fact that you're not just watching. You're participating in your own recovery. Your legs may have carried you for decades. They've taken you to weddings, hospitals, beaches, and bedrooms. They've trembled during grief and danced during joy. They've stumbled and risen again. They've held the weight of your entire life. Now is your time to return the favor. Not out of fear, but out of love. For your body, for your independence, for the years still ahead. And trust me, there is more ahead. More laughter, more mornings, more movement, more life. But only if you choose it. So, choose it. Today. Right now. This step. This breath. This decision. Because this isn't the end of your strength. It's the beginning. If you've made it here, truly made it through this journey with me, then you already understand something most people never realize. Your strength, your mobility, your independence, they are not defined by your age. They are shaped by your choices. What we've explored together isn't just a list of vitamins or a science lesson about the human body. It's a reconnection, a reawakening of the relationship between you and the legs that have carried you through a lifetime. Whether you've walked across stages, across countries, or just across your living room, those legs have been with you in every chapter. They've absorbed the weight of your joys, your griefs, your achievements, your losses. And now they're simply asking for something in return. Care, attention, and nourishment. It's easy to ignore the slow decline. It's easy to normalize stiffness, to make jokes about getting older, to chalk up fatigue to the weather or the mattress. But what if you paused right here and listened? What if your body is not breaking down, but asking you to wake up? We live in a world that treats aging as an inevitability, a quiet slide into limitation. But I refuse to accept that. I believe in aging with agency, with strength, with pride. And I believe that by restoring just a few simple habits, sunlight in the morning, real food on the plate, intentional movement in your day, you can rewrite your story. And the best part? You don't have to overhaul everything. You don't need to become someone else. You just need to return to the basics. Nourish the body. Feed the nerves. Stretch the muscles. Respect your biology. Trust the quiet wisdom of your own body. There is dignity in effort. There is freedom in small wins. And there is joy, genuine joy, in waking up and knowing you are moving forward no matter how slowly. Let this not be the video you watch and forget. Let this be the spark. So what's the deeper lesson here? The most powerful transformations often come not from doing more, but from doing the right things, consistently, and with intention. When we honor our bodies, not by pushing them, but by understanding them, we unlock not just better movement, but a better life. Apply this by choosing one single action today. Prepare a nutrient-rich meal. Go for a short walk. Call your doctor to ask about a blood test, or simply sit in the sun. Small steps, repeated daily, become new foundations. Now I'd love to hear from you. Simple question. Which small action will you take today to support your leg strength and independence? A. Add more leafy greens or vitamin-rich food to your next meal. B. Go for a short walk, stretch, or do a few sit-to-stands. Please leave your answer below in the comments. Your perspective might inspire someone else reading this right now. If you found this video meaningful, I would be so grateful if you could subscribe to this channel. It helps more than you know and allows me to keep creating heartfelt, science-backed content like this, free for everyone. And if you'd like to go one step further and support the work we're doing here, consider leaving a donation. You'll find the link in the description. It helps keep this channel alive, ad-free, and focused on what truly matters, giving you the tools to live well, move freely, and age with strength. Thank you for being here. Your journey matters. You matter.